Hey guys, this is Michael with the Tennessee Survivalists. Hadn't done any videos in quite a while and had a lot of things going on, been pretty busy. Got a large group here in Tennessee that I'm involved with now. Um, we have monthly trainings. We get really involved in everything from wilderness survival to anything you can think of involving prepping or survival. Um, a lot of new members coming around in our group, not just my Facebook group of, the Tennessee Survivalists, but my actual group here in Tennessee that I'm part of. Consequently, if you're interested in doing some active training to hone your survival or prepping skills and learn new things, just drop me a shout on Facebook. Tennessee Survivalist. Look me up, Michael Spears, on Facebook, or you just leave a message on this video at the bottom, and I'll get you some info and get you hooked up if you live here in Tennessee. Um, with all the new people that I've come in contact with that are new to survival or prepping, I've had more and more people coming to me asking for help on building their bug out bag. And I know I've done a bug out bag video in the past. That was actually one of my first videos I've ever done. Video was pretty crappy. Um, the content was okay, but I've come across some new gear here and there, and I've learned a few things differently. And decided that I was going to make a new bug out bag video for the new year. So you see a lot of it laid out here in front of me right now. We're going to get on to it here in just a second and start from scratch for anybody new out there. If this is nothing new to you, maybe you'll still get something out of it that you didn't know, or see something you didn't think of. As always, if there's something you think I should have thought of, hell, drop me a line and let me know. I forget things too. So sit tight, be right back in just a minute with my new bug out bag. Alright guys, we're back. I'm going to start going through what my theories and my idea of a bug out bag would be. And before we get started with that, let me tell you a few differences in bags. You'll hear the term bug out bag or BOB, which is an acronym, BOB. You'll hear the term go bag, good bag, GOOD, that stands for get out of Dodge. To me, these are all the same thing, and they're really designed to keep you safe and sound and a reasonable amount of health for 3 to 5 days. Not to be confused with an everyday carry bag. I have one of those too. I'll be doing a video a little ways down the road on that. Not to be confused with a car or truck bag. Those usually, to me, have bigger and more extensive gear that I wouldn't want to carry on my back. Not to be confused with what some people call an inch bag. Inch being another acronym, INCH, stands for I'm not coming home. I don't build an inch bag because I have a bug out location, and a lot of my supplies and my gear and whatnot would be stashed there if I have no plans of coming back home. My BOB will get me to my bug out location and sustain me for a few days until everything settles down once the shit hits the fan. It will also cover me in a short-term emergency situation like a multiple day power outage, or we're in the middle of winter, a lot of people's water's froze up, loss of water, things like that, either in my home or outdoors. You'll find out that my bag is geared heavily toward wilderness survival, but that's just because that's what I enjoy. I enjoy the thought process behind bushcraft. It tends to make your gear a little lighter. It tends to make your knowledge a lot heavier. And by heavy, I mean more, because knowledge weighs nothing. The more knowledge you got, the less weight you got on your back. So let's get on with it. The first thing you got to do when you're building your first bug out bag, or if you're just trying to refine one that you've got, maybe you've gotten started and wanting to know how to make it better, you gotta have a bag. Pack needs to be, it doesn't have to be a backpack. If you're really on a tight budget or want to try to make do, any kind of bag will do. A 5-gallon bucket would work. Anything that you can pick up and grab has got all your basic necessities in it will work. For me, I've got a backpack. It's not expensive. This is a SOG Barrage pack, I believe is what they call it. It's a pretty large pack. This one come from Walmart. Yes, I know, haters, y'all are gonna hate Walmart, but I get some good deals there and it works. You can definitely get a more expensive pack. You can probably get a better quality pack. This one works. I don't just fill this pack up and set it in the corner. We've done hikes with it. I use it extensively in the summer camping. It's proven itself. It will work for me. It's not going to let me down. Once you get the pack, well, hell, you got to have something to go in it. Now, my thought process on building a bug out bag starts with a philosophy that many people know, come from the bushcraft world. It's called the 10 C's of survivability. I cannot take credit for this. This is actually a philosophy taught by David Canterbury with the Pathfinder School. Hats off to Dave for his skills and his knowledge in the world of wilderness survival and bushcraft. The man is truly a genius, and his thought process behind putting his kit together is so simple, it's crazy. But basically the 10 C's of survivability are 10 basic items that everybody needs in their bug out bag. It does not make an all-inclusive bug out bag, even though these 10 C's would be perfect for bushcraft and sport, wilderness outdoors, and wilderness, not really survival, but survivability. You will need more than just that, but that's the basis behind what I do. And the 10 C's are broke down to 2 sections. You got the first 5, which is the most important, and the second 5, which complement the first 5. So we're going to start with the very first C, if you will, and that would be your cutting tool, otherwise known as a knife. You need a really good knife. This is one of the ones I've got. Out of everything in your pack, to me, it makes more sense to spend the most money on the best quality knife you can get. What's the best knife to have? Well, quite simply, the one you've got on you in a survival situation would be best. But with that said, we prepare, we plan, so plan on trying to get the best thing you can. I'm going to show you a couple that I keep in my bug out bag real quick, and why I keep them in there. The first one is this right here. This is a Mora Companion. It's just got a cheap, not even Kydex. It's just like a plastic sheath. The knife snaps in. I don't know if you can hear that or not. It's a plastic grip with rubber overmolded. It's a good narrow blade. Works really well for kitchen duties. All around camp use. Would be a great small game knife. It's still agile enough you could fillet fish with it. It's heavy duty enough you can dress out big game with it. The reason I like this knife is several. One, it's really comfortable, fits my hand good. Number 2, the blade. The blade is made of 1095, I believe. It may be 1075. I'm pretty sure it's 1095. High carbon stainless. Or not stainless, high carbon steel, excuse me. I'll tell you in a minute why I'll prefer high carbon over stainless. It's also got what's known as a Scandinavian edge. You probably can't see the edge grind. I'll do a knife video a little ways down the road explaining the difference in the grinds. But I like a Scandinavian grind because it's really, not only does it work well, it's really easy to sharpen and maintain in the field. This knife is not full tang, it's a rat tail tang. The tang is simply the part that goes into the handle. A full tang would be the actual full shape of the handle. Rat tail is just simply a smaller piece of metal, the handle molded around it, sometimes pinned to it. That's not bad, it's not a deal breaker, but it does make it weaker. So I wouldn't be doing heavy duty tasks with this knife like digging and prying, batoning wood. If I had to, I would. If I only had the one knife, yeah, I wouldn't not try it. if I had to. The number one reason I like this knife is price. Anybody that knows me knows I'm a very, very common man, which translates into I'm a cheap ass. If I can get good quality gear at a discount price, that's what I'm getting. You can buy these knives on Amazon for less than 20 bucks. I think the going rate right here lately has been around 17. If you get one, make sure it's the Mora Companion HD in carbon, not stainless. They make this both ways. That's my backup knife, but it's also one of my favorite knives to do detail carving with. The other knife that I carry looks like a custom made knife. This is the Pathfinder trade knife made by Haveless Bush Tools. This is a design specifically by Dave Canterbury of the Pathfinder School. It's made for the Pathfinder School. Has some interesting features about it that make it absolutely the perfect bob knife for me. Number one, the blade is 1095 high carbon. It is a full tang. The blade is actually the same shape as the handle. It's all one piece of metal with the handle attached on either side. Scandinavian grind, just like the Mora. It's got a lot wider blade, as you can see. Lends itself a lot better to multi-purpose use. It's a little bit harder to do fine detail work, especially on small animals with it, but if I only had the one, I could with it. 3/16 of an inch thick. Perfect thickness for me would be between 3/16 and a quarter. I like 3/16 best. Quarter is the thickest I would want it. Anything any thicker is just too big and bulky for me to be able to do what I need to do. 3/16 makes this knife solid enough that if I need to split firewood, I can lay the knife on top of it, get me a stick, baton, beat this knife through it, split my firewood down. It's got good enough edge. I can cut fine feather sticks. I can do detail notches to make primitive traps, or sharpen sticks for stakes, spikes, even a primitive spear or weapon. I can make any kind of camp furniture I need with this knife. It's got holes in the grip of it where it can be lashed to a stick to make a ranged weapon with it, or just to cut a vine loose up high in a tree, whatever you may need it for it. Even though it looks like it, this is not a wood grip or handle. This is a material called G10. If you're familiar with knives, G10 is even better for me than micarta. It's got the looks and the beauty of wood. It feels like wood. It's just got an excellent grip to it, but it's almost indestructible. There's a hole drilled right in the center, a little divot. This is made for using for the bearing block, the top part of a bow drill. If you're doing primitive fire, if you've ever done that, I'll do a video on that this year too. The bearing block is the hardest part to replicate. It's also the hardest part to keep friction away from, to keep your heat down on the board where you can actually get a coal. This works really good. Again, that's the Pathfinder trade knife from Pathfinder School and Haveless Bush Tools. They're not as cheap. This is about $125, but the best investment I've ever made in a knife right there. The next thing on the list would be combustion. Combustion is quite simply a way of starting a fire. Now, my fire kit is pretty extensive. It starts with this, a simple magnifying glass. I keep a bag of cedar bark. There's lots of good natural tinder that works well, but right here in southern Middle Tennessee, I'm covered up in cedar. Yeah, I'm sure I could find bark on the fly, no problem, but no bigger than it is, no heavier than it is. I keep a good sized bag in there. That's enough to make a tinder bundle for several different fires. It takes up almost no space and definitely hardly no weight. That can be started by magnifying glass or a number of other methods. The rest of my fire kit's in this little bag, and yes, I go very, very, very heavy and very redundant in fire starting. Here I've got 3 pieces of fat wood in a Ziploc bag. Fat wood is quite simply sapwood from pine trees primarily. Um, there are other sapwoods that work fairly decent. Pine is best because the resin in the tree itself is actually the base of turpentine or pine tar. Um, Granted, we're not really covered up in pine trees in southern Middle Tennessee, but thankfully you can go to Walmart or Lowe's, you can buy, I'm saying it's like a 10-pound box that Duraflame makes of true fat wood for about $9, and this stuff works incredibly well. So what else we got in here? I've got another Ziploc. In this bag I've got 2 or 3 small boxes of matches, a cigarette lighter, a couple of tampons. You know, tampons are excellent fire starting material. Got a little chemical fire starter brick piece in there. Got an old medicine bottle filled full of cotton balls. A lot of people will have the cotton balls soaked in petroleum jelly or Vaseline. That does work well. I keep this filled full of 91% isopropyl alcohol. Doesn't work as well in the rain as your petroleum cotton balls would, but with the tiniest little spark will set that on fire. We've also got some homemade fire starters here. This is dryer lint that's been soaked in and mushed into Vaseline, wrapped into a piece of tissue paper. What else have I got down? It looks like that's all. Got another cigarette lighter down in there. Got some duct tape wrapped around it. Duct tape can be used for starting fires as well. You can shred it a little bit and fray the ends. It takes a spark really well, takes a flame even better. Got my little Altoids tin that I use to make char cloth in. If you don't know what char cloth is, we'll do something on that later too. I've got some char cloth inside there. That's just another method of a fire starting material. It takes a spark really well. You can add that to your tinder bundle to get fire. And I've got a 3/8 by 5 ferrocerium rod. That's the main reason I like the knives I've got, because those knives have a 90-degree spine on them. I'll go into some detail in another video on what makes a perfect survival knife for me. But those 2 knives I just showed you previously, when thrown on that ferrocerium rod and scraped, looks like an arc welder that throws so much sparks. And you know, this is quite a bit for a fire starting kit for a lot of people, but it works well for me. And I know that no matter what weather I've got a way of getting fire. And to me, fire is the #1 important thing at all. Without it, there's just so much that can go wrong. The third C would be cover. Cover is quite simply anything that separates your naked body from the elements. Your clothing is part of your cover. Coats, rain gear, hats, gloves. Ideally, you'd be dressed as close to weather appropriate or season appropriate as possible in the event of a bug out. Not always, but ideally you would be. So along with that would be some type of shelter. Now some people pack hiking tents and the like in their bob. I don't. I keep a simple tarp. Yes, this is just a cheap Walmart tarp. It's an 8x10. They're about $10. No, it will not last forever. Yes, it's noisy. You know, there's better stuff out there. There's silicone nylon. They're tiny, but they're expensive. Oiled canvas or oilskin it'll last forever. They're expensive also, and they're really heavy. That's the best of both worlds to me. I'm not going to be sleeping under a tarp forever. If I get stuck out in the wilderness environment, in a bug out situation, after the shit goes flying, I can assure you that once I'm settled in and got steady food and water and a decent security perimeter set up, my very next goal is building a more permanent shelter. Tarp's just temporary. Um, Another thing that I use for shelter is this SOL survival blanket. These are the space blankets, Mylar blankets. Um, any of them, you can get them as cheap as a couple of bucks. They're all good. Um, I don't know that the SOL is really any better than some of the others, except for this one's not disposable. It's just a little more durable. It can be reused. Some other shelter components I've got is quite simply a garbage bag. It can be used to keep the rain off of you. Of course, needless to say, I've got to change clothes. Dry underwear and socks. Wool socks, I wear them year round. They'll keep body warmth in even when wet. Got a pair of wool gloves. These are fingerless gloves with the mitten pieces that flip over the end. They work great. So the wool is fantastic. I've also got a small sleeping bag. This one's only rated to 40 degrees. It's hot in the summer. It's fine for spring and fall. Little cold in the winter, but I've also got this military wool blanket that's on the table in front of me. The two of those combined make a perfect sleep system. I don't anticipate any problems. I've used both of them extensively. Never tried it in hard winter. Next weekend, we're actually doing a 3-day camp out in the middle of January. So I'll let you know a little more about the sleep system after next weekend. As long as I keep all my fingers and toes, nothing turns black on me, I think we'll be good. The fourth C would be a container. Container is simply anything you can collect water in, drink water out of, possibly even prepare your meals in. A lot of different ways you can do that. What I choose, I have good reason for. Number one is the Stanley Cook Kit. I like this because I can collect water in it, I can boil water in it, I can make soups or stews in it if I really wanted to. I've got a stainless steel nesting cup that goes along with it. This isn't Stanley, this is something cheap from Walmart. Either one of those two I can purify water by boiling in. I can also eat or drink out of them. I use this for a coffee pot a whole lot. Inside that I have something, I use it for storage too. I've got some little protein bars, cotton bandana. I think I've got a couple of military style can openers down in there too. Don't waste any space in your bug out bag. I've also got this right here. That is quite simply exactly what it looks like. It's a dog food dish. It's stainless steel. It works really well over a fire. It's easy to clean. It lasts a long time. It's not real heavy. I can use that for water collection. I can use it to cook in. I can even fry foods in it. I have. If I had to, I could use it to dig a hole with. It's just everything I try to have more than one use out of it. Also keep just a cheap, it's like a Sprite bottle, a plastic water bottle full of water in my bug out bag. You notice I don't have a lot of water. There's a reason for that. I've got a lot of ways to purify water even on the go. I keep a little something to keep me hydrated, or, to get started with. My water purification system, which is not one of the 10 C's, but it goes along with the container for me, is a Sawyer Mini. I keep it in a Ziploc bag. If you're not familiar with Sawyer Mini, look it up. This is probably, in my opinion, the best water filter of any type for your bug out bag. A lot of people like the Life Straws. This works just like the Life Straw. You can drink directly from a muddy stream out of it. It's got a little squeeze bag with it that you can fill with water that you've collected and attach the filter to it, squeeze it out into your water container, or it will simply attach directly to any commercially made soft drink or water bottle. That's why I like it. You can fill that up out of the creek, attach a straw to it, and keep on going. The last of your 5 main C's is going to be cordage. I use paracord primarily. Bank line's good too. I keep several different lengths. I've got a few pieces pre-made for certain shelter designs. I use this primarily with my tarp for shelter, along with some lightweight aluminum tent stakes. I've got enough for 3 or 4 different basic shelter designs that I prefer to use. The cordage can be used for multiple things. The paracord is nice because if you need small string, you can gut the paracord and pull the center out of it, and you got several smaller strings that you can use for everything from sewing to fishing line. That pretty much concludes the first 5 C's. We'll take a quick break and be right back here in just a minute, and we'll go over the second half. Be right back. Alright guys, I'm back. I take a little pause for the cause there. We went over the first 5 of the 10 C's of survival. I'm going to do a quick rundown now of the second 5. Some of these are not as important for a bug out bag, but as small and light as they are, they will come in handy. Some of them you don't want to be caught without. So let's get on with it. Number 6 would be a candle or candling device. Not necessarily a candle per se, that's the way the pioneers would have done it back in the day, but you need something to shed light. Flashlight. I keep a couple small ones in my bob. One is simply a headlamp. These are great. This was 150 lumens. It's fairly bright. Needless to say, you can put it on your head. You got hands free. You can direct the light where you want it. It is angle adjustable. You don't have to spend a fortune to get these. This one was about 15 or 20 bucks, and it's more than adequate. Second one I carry is kind of an interesting little light. I think I found this one at Bass Pro. It's 300 lumens, but it's a widespread, like a flood type light. Doesn't shine very far, but it makes an incredibly bright small area light. It can be clipped to your shirt collar or pocket. If you have something metal around, the base is magnetic, or you can quite simply just lay it on the ground and it gives you a good bright light if you're trying to get a fire built and can't see what you're doing. Cleaning your gun, whatever the case may be, comes in really handy. I don't remember how much this was, probably $10 or $15. Again, it come from Bass Pro. I haven't seen them in a few years. They might not even make them anymore. I really like it though. But nonetheless, you need some type of light. Try and buy something durable. Test it, use it, drop it, throw it, sling it, flush it down the toilet. You want it to last you. You want to be something you can count on as far as the light goes. Number 7 will be cotton. Cotton's real important. I use a cotton bandana. I showed earlier, I didn't really show it, but I'll keep it stashed in my cook set here. The reason you want cotton is it can be used for so many different things. It can be boiled and sterilized, used for bandages. You can make a sling out of it. It can be used, small pieces of it can be used for fire tinder. Titan. Y'all met Diana in some other videos. This is my new survival dog, is Titan. You're a star now, buddy. I'm on a glass of whiskey though. The cotton can also be used, Titan clip. The cotton can also be used for a rag. You can use it to wipe sweat with. You can use it to clean your pots and pans with if need be. You can use it for a pre-filter for your water. That's what I use it for a lot of times, is to filter debris and sediment out of my water before I boil it. That way, even though the water's clean, it may still be gritty or grimy, and I don't want to have to chew my coffee up. It works really well. Some people use coffee filters and things for this, and you can if you really want to add those too. Put the cotton bandana in there, only $1 or $2. They're worth their weight in gold. Number 8 will be a compass. This one's fairly inexpensive map compass. I'm not a professional at orienteering, so there may be better compasses than this available. Matter of fact, I know there are. I think this one will be adequate for me. May do some videos on some orienteering somewhere down the road. Again, I'm not really good at it yet. I know enough. I think I could find my way out of somewhere if I was lost. but get you a decent compass. If, at the very least, watch some YouTube videos and practice a little bit in your neighborhood or your backyard, or if you can, go to the woods, local fishing spot or whatever, and practice a little bit out there in the wild too. Could save your life one day. Number 9 is what they call cargo tape. I call it duct tape. Get the best thing you can find. Some of the cheaper stuff is not as good. Gorilla brand is the way to go. It's a huge roll of it, but this shit, I really believe, would hold airplane wings on. It's crazy strong. Now that's really heavy too. The whole roll probably won't go on my bob. I'll probably wrap 100 feet of it maybe around a container sometime, buy coffee or something. Number 10 would be what's known as a canvas needle or a sail needle. I don't have one of those handy here. It's quite simply just a heavy duty needle that would be capable of sewing up your gear. If some of your strapping, like on your backpack, were to break or tear loose, or if you needed to cut something and sew something else, make something else out of it, it's a lot heavier duty than a common sewing needle, but it accomplishes the same thing. You can take that combined with the guts out of some of your paracord here and do gear and equipment repairs. Now, with the 10 C's out of the way, needless to say, if you don't already know this, that's still not enough for you for a bob. What that's simply for is for wilderness, hardcore wilderness survival. That is a bare minimum set for that a lot of the bushcrafters use. For a true bob, you're going to want, even though you may have the skills to not have this, you're going to truly want some other stuff. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move some of the things out of the way here that were 10C specific, and we're going to take a look at some of the other things I've got up here. Let's see, let me get all my combustion out of the way. Covering. What else we got? Cordage. Stuff here for my shelter. Compass. Tape. There's my lights. Water. And containers. Alright. Let's look at a few of the other things I've got. And, you'll learn that building your bug out bag is kind of like building a hot rod or any other kind of custom project that I don't know that it's ever really done. Seems like I'm constantly finding ways to change mine, make it lighter, take something away, add something to, swap something out. There's one more piece that don't need to be there. But here's what makes up the rest of my bob. With the cutting tool, you gotta have some way to keep it sharp. I've got this simple Smith's diamond sharpener. Snaps inside the case. Got a fine side on one side, of course, on the other. Not the best I've ever used. It's not a replacement for a good quality oil stone, but it does work and it works decent. These can be had for about 20 bucks too, maybe less. Might not have been quite that much. It's washable. You can use it dry. You can use it wet with water. You can use oil. Something I do want to add is any of your knives, if you use oil to sharpen them with, you may want to consider using a food grade oil like olive oil, just because petroleum products like cutting oil that comes with a lot of the knife sharpening kits are not safe to eat. And I wouldn't go fry hot French fries or anything, basically French fries, using cutting oil with a knife. With that said, whatever's on your knife could transfer and will transfer to your food, especially if you're using it for wild game prep. Use food grade oil. I use olive oil primarily. But so we got the knife sharpener. I've got another cutting tool here. This is not a necessity. I like using it. It's a Fast Talk from SOG. A lot of people like traditional tomahawks. I did have the tactical tomahawk. It's a lot bigger, had a lot more cutting edge, but I think for what I use one for, this works best. Um, and needless to say, it's primarily designed as a weapon, but there's some good utility use you can have out of it. The side here is knurled. You can use it to pound with. Um, at the moment, this isn't sharpened, it's just a spike. You can use that to dig with. My tactical, I actually sharpened it, made a cutting edge here. I don't think I'm going to on this one. You know, if I had to use that for a weapon, it would still inflict damage, but if left blunt, it makes a pretty good digging tool. Um, I've got a knife edge as opposed to like a hatchet or axe edge put on this. Works real well for detail work. I can actually carve and notch sticks with this. Um, it would work decent for game prep if you had to. Sometimes it works better than the knife because you get in some of the heavy bone areas and you can chop through them if need be. Um, works really well for structure building. If you're building a primitive shelter of some type, a debris shelter or anything, this works really well. Um, a lot of people use a saw as well. I need to pick up a folding saw, some type to put in my bob. I used to keep a bow saw in it, and didn't really take up a lot of room, but I found that once I added my weapons and in my case some combat gear and stuff too, it kind of got in the way. Um, in a bug out, if I can go by vehicle, the bow saw will go with me, but it does not have a home in my bob anymore. But again, this is the Fast Hawk. I really like it. You may not. It's totally up to you. If you've never used one, see if you can find somebody that's got one and fiddle around, play with it some, see if it's for you. They're not right for everybody. Another thing I've got is this spork. Not sure I like a spork over an actual spoon and fork or not. It's titanium, it's light, it works, it's one piece. It's got a bottle opener on the other end. You never can tell, you might find that bottle of Budweiser once the world comes to an end. Probably useless as shit, but it's kind of cool. I do keep some cookware. I've got a stainless steel spatula and a plastic spoon. Don't ask me why, it's just what I had. It was just stuff that was laying around the house, found its way into my bob. Not a necessity, but comes in pretty handy for me. We talked about the Sawyer water filter earlier, and we'll talk about it again real quick. Can't say enough good things about this. It actually comes as a kit. I'll show you real quick. This is the main part of the filter here. As I said earlier, it works as a filter straw, just exactly like the, let's see how we go. Yeah, just exactly like the Sawyer or like the Life Straw does. Put this little tube on the end, and you can drink straight out of a stream or whatever. You can take your water bottle, and this will fit directly on common cheap water bottles. You can attach this to it, screws right down. Drink from it. Several other ways it can be used. In just a second, I'll show you. It's got this squeeze bag. Probably won't last long, but it is there. What you would do with it is you would remove your tube. Just pour water all over the place. Fill your bag here up with your collected water. Screw it down on it, and you can actually, of course, the bag will be filled. You can actually squeeze the water out of it into another container. That would be good if you're trying to fill your water bowl for stew or whatever it was you was making with decontaminated water already. That's kind of handy. The coolest thing is this syringe is used to backwash the filter with. This is what makes, in my opinion, the Sawyer Mini the best backpack water filter money can buy. What you do is you take, well, it's got a direction of flow here. You take your tubing and your reverse ends and put it on the drinking end, the part that will go in your mouth. You take some already known clean water, draw into this, then attach the tubing to this end. And you can quite simply backwash the filter. By doing that, it blows all the crud from here back out. You can do that several times. It'll clean it back up, get some of the debris and dirt and stuff out of your water off of this, and it makes this little filter right here good for around 300,000 gallons of water. That's just an incredible long-term amount of use for this, and quite possibly even more than that. I wouldn't want to use it all the time. You know, once I have base camp set up, I would still think that it would be smart to just pre-filter with your cloth and boil your water, just so you can preserve the life of your straw. But to me, this little fella right here does the job of both the life straw, or some of the other Aquamira makes some nice filter straws, the life straw, whatever. This does the job of all of them, including some of the hiking filters like the Katadyn or MSR. They're great filters, don't get me wrong, but I think this right here will serve its purpose for me. There's going to be one of these in every kit we own. They're fantastic. In addition to that, I've got, of course, maps of the area. Look at some tools that I keep in here. Some people don't put tools in their pack. I do. Yes, they add weight quick. Most everybody carries a multi-tool of some kind, either on their belt or in their pack. I just keep mine in my pack. I have one I carry daily on my belt. It may or may not be with me, so I keep one in my bug out bag too. Got this I think it's a Stanley file and rasp, and it's got what, 1, 2, 3, 4 different levels of coarseness. Kind of a lazy man's tool. It weighs 3 or 4 ounces, and it's really good for bushcraft style use. If you're having to craft something up out of lumber or out of wood, you cut with your knife or hatchet or whatever. It gives you, for long term, for base camp, it would give you a little bit more detail, a little bit more ability to make bushcrafted furniture, chairs, or whatever, or even your traps a little bit more professionally. Definitely not a necessity, but something that I do use. Along with that, I've got a stubby flathead and Phillips screwdriver. Most definitely, you don't need these in the woods, but from a bug out situation, we don't live in the woods. They could come in handy getting out of town. They could come in handy if you're in an urban or suburban survival situation. A small little miniature pair of channel locks. I've had these a long time. They used to be in my fishing kit, but they just give you the kind of the ability to grab a hold of small objects and really get a grip on them, and they don't weigh much of anything. Some of this is handy for cleaning and working on your firearms. This little thing here is a Winchester pistol cleaning kit. I really like it. What you see is basically the handle. The rest of it stores inside. You've got brushes for 3 or 4 different calibers and a small 3-piece rod. It's standard threads on the rods like most of your gun cleaning kits are. So you could take the longer rod out of a gun cleaning kit and put it in your pack too, and that combined with this and some patches, you'll be able to keep your firearm maintained, and that's very important, is to be able to do what you can to keep your firearm maintained. This little thing comes from one of the sporting goods stores, probably less than $10. First aid kit. First aid kit's really important. This one is the Echo Safety First Aid Kit. Several sporting goods stores sell these. This one probably comes from Walmart. The kit itself is not bad for a store-bought, pre-built first aid kit. I've yet to find one that's perfect. I have modified it some. I'm not going to go into a lot of detail on this. You could write a whole book on first aid kits. But I have added a few things to it. I've added some extra antiseptic, some larger tubes of like muscle rub for sore muscles and hydrocortisone, some extra bandage tape. This is not an IFAK. This is not designed for trauma or battle injuries, things like that. This is just a general purpose first aid kit for everyday emergencies. It would not take the place of IFAK or an individual first aid kit. What else we got? Oh, there's one more tool, small pair of tweezers. Probably not real good for splinters, even though they could be used. They're more like machinist tweezers. Are good for small parts. Again, primarily for my firearms. Got this little thing here. This is one of my favorite pieces of gear. This is my stove. Of course, ideally, any food I'm cooking will be done over an open fire, if that's at all possible. But if I just need to heat something small, I've got this little fella here. This will get really nasty because I've used this a bunch. It is a bio stove, or a biofuel stove. And it's been a pain in the ass right now. Yeah, I speak good about it, and I can't get it to open up. There we go. I don't know if you're going to be able to see this real well or not. But it basically sets up like that. You can load fuel in through here. Works off of a similar principle to the rocket stove, but not exactly. It is pretty efficient. You can feed it sticks and twigs laying on the ground. It's more than enough for a small meal, or to heat MREs, boil water. If you need a small amount of water, boil. Make a small pot of coffee, like with my bush pot I've got here. Make a couple cups of coffee. Definitely not for large group use, but it does come in handy if you do need a stove, and you also need to not really set up a full-blown fire or anything. Kind of a pain to fold up sometimes. I think I bought this off of Amazon. I want to say I didn't give, but less than $20 for it. You hear that a lot out of me. That's kind of my price point for decent gear. $20 here, $20 there. Got this little sleeve in it. This sleeve probably will not make it real long when the shit hits the fan, but it's worked okay so far. I've been using that for about 10 months now, I guess. I've actually got a video I've done with this, where I made a pot of coffee out of nasty water out of the river in my backyard. It's on YouTube too. I think it's called the pocket folding cooker or something like that. I can't remember. I'll try and remember to put a link on there toward it if you want to see a review on the stove. Some other things you're going to want in your bob are a few Ziploc bags. I'm trying to keep a lot of stuff in Ziplocs. I've also got some spare batteries for my lights. Keep everything in Ziploc bags. Change clothes. I don't have a lot in the clothes area that I keep in there. Some people think it's gross, but shit hits the fan. The last thing I'm really worried about is clean clothes. I do want to stay dry though, so I've got a t-shirt and a pair of pants, in addition to whatever I've got on my back. A pair of underwear and a spare pair of wool socks. This bag here, what we got? I've got a pair of light gloves, a pair of heavy gloves, insulated cap, and some chemical hand warmers. It's kind of my winter pack here. It's light enough, I'll probably keep it in year round. Even in the summertime, that's where people go wrong. You can get hypothermic even in the summer. If you've been out exposed to the elements, you get cold and wet. This bag here is not for everyone. I've recently started trying to get into trapping some. I keep a few small traps in here. I'm definitely not going to get into traps a lot. I've got some snare wire. It's actually picture frame hanging wire that you make good snares out of. Um, haven't had a lot of luck snaring yet. It's definitely a learning curve to it, but it's a good skill to know, and it's what I'm still working on. Um, these are 110 conibears, or otherwise known as body grip traps, as opposed to the leg traps a lot of people are accustomed to. The body grip trap will actually have a better chance of killing your targeted animal as opposed to just breaking its leg or maiming it and having it suffer. A lot of times I have seen predators like coyotes steal your supper because you caught it in a leg trap. I'm not going to set one of these right here, but these are not real heavy. They do add up to a lot of weight, and my trap pack here probably adds 5 pounds to my bob. A lot of people do not want this. To me, having yet another way to work for me to sustain red meat over my fire when shit hits the fan, you know, I'm going to try and take my traps with me. Like I said, they are kind of heavy. And the last thing I've got in here is some plain old rat traps. Believe it or not, I have seen people catch squirrels in these. The body grip trap will do the same. My biggest thing is I'm thinking I can use them to catch other small animals, vermin, rats, things like that. If I had to eat them, I would, but they can be used to bait for larger animals. You start the whole food chain process. Don't forget, when you're building your bob, guys, put something for fun and for entertainment in there. I've got a simple deck of cards. Probably add a couple other things in there. Real quick, I'm going to show you what I've got for food. You need at least 3 days worth of food. 5 would be better, but I'll show you what I've got. I've got 2 cans of Spam. I've got 2 of these cartons of cheesy hash brown potatoes. These are good for quite some time. They're a little awkward to pack. You know, you could go buy MREs or freeze-dry food. I do things cheap, and they just work well. They make 6 servings. Got a few Pop-Tarts stuck in there, and I've got 2 or 3 packs of these Idahoan home-style mashed potatoes. They're just add water potatoes. They're easy to cook around camp. And I've got 1 pack of ground beef crumbles that's been vacuum sealed. These were good for, they're almost expired now. They were good for about 3 years. It's definitely not 15 or 20 year freeze dry food. I'll probably eat these next weekend since they're coming close to expiring. Replace them with some more, something different. It's constantly evolving. And that's the thing, guys, you know, if you take what I discussed earlier about the 10 C's and some principles that go along with that on things you've got to have to be safe, first aid kit, some food, think about things to maintain your basic survival gear with, and it's actually a lot of fun. Don't let it be something that builds up a lot of stress for you. Some of these categories I'll come back and do some detailed info on about what makes good gear, why I choose this particular gear. If you have any questions, like I said, always give me a shout, leave a comment here on YouTube, look me up on Facebook, come join my Facebook survival group called the Tennessee Survivalists. If you live here in Tennessee, especially Middle Tennessee, and you want to be involved on hands, or hands-on rather, doing some hardcore survival training and prepping training, you want to be a part of a group of like-minded patriots, definitely look me up on Facebook and I will hook you up with my group. There's a lot of us and we're proud of what we do. Right now it's going to be it, I guess, guys. I'm almost out of my drink. We'll catch you next time. Appreciate it.